Hi everybody, I'm Marie with Ridgway and Associates, and I wanted to create a video here for you, just less than 10 minutes long, to talk in detail about a few different recovery tips and strategies that I would like you to have. Charlie's coming over to you, I guess. He's pretty good at his recovery. He takes about 6 naps a day, so I guess we can learn from that. So I talk a lot in my work and trainings and in individual sessions about recovery because as first responders, you have plenty of intensity in your jobs and you are really well trained for intensity and for how to respond based on kind of those default patterns that you created in your brains due to your training. So while under stress, you can take action without having to even really consciously think about it. And in some cases, even to the degree where you can predict what's going to happen and take action before it even has to be a response that you think through. So these are incredibly valuable skills that you all have. Something that takes the training and the experience and the practice that you all have. What I suggest is to train your brain the same way that you do for stress and intensity for recovery. So everybody knows you're always going to default to your training when under a lot of stress. And so what I would like everybody to have is the patterns and the habits and the strategies already set up in your brain so that you can default to those when under stress, and when that threat and stress is over, you can then kind of more automatically switch into recovery mode. So I'm going to share my screen here with you. I'm going to talk through just a couple things and then I'll give you some actual strategies and walk you through some ideas on how to accomplish this. All right, so I'll start out here talking about the resilience factors. You have probably all heard about these from us during check-ins or therapy sessions, conversations we have, materials and items that I send out. But I'm going to talk here specifically about the first one, not about sleep so much as non-sleep deep rest. NSDR, or non-sleep deep rest, is a term that was coined by Dr. Andrew Huberman with Stanford. He's a neuroscientist and he's one of my go-tos for a lot of the latest research on mental health and on strain and recovery and all of the things that you tend to probably hear me talk about. So you can help your brain recover from intensity while you're awake and give it a similar benefit that sleep will give it. So under stress, our body will switch into fight, flight, or freeze mode. In your jobs, you have to be able to take action with it, which is fight mode, while under stress. So when stress is finished, sometimes it can be difficult to let go and to switch out of fight mode. And I actually wouldn't suggest that you need to. I would just suggest that you start taking action regarding recovery. So in every way that you can, the ability for you to recover, to know how to and to be able to recognize that you need it, is going to allow you to rest and recover and actually be fully ready for the next period of intensity and stress and strain. So we all know the fight, flight, or freeze response can look like these things: rapid heart rate, sometimes sweating, heightened senses, including tunnel vision, decreased ability to feel pain. You may feel increased strength and performance. Muscles can tense up. And so we need to essentially address that and unwind it very intentionally for you to be as healthy and resilient as you can be. What we don't want to have happen is essentially trauma, which, beyond stress, trauma means that the demands on your system have exceeded the available resources. So the idea with training your brain for recovery is to make sure that you have the available resources, you are recovered, you are ready for large amounts of strain. And this is something that goes along with making sure that you've processed and kind of cleared out the stacking or cumulative stress that so commonly happens in your line of work. So some of the stress symptoms to watch for, these are the things to notice are happening and listen to your body so that it can let you know that it's time to take a step back, to recover. It's your body letting you know. And when you have the time to do it, it's important to listen to these things. I think so often in your line of work, you have to override your nervous system. You just have to go to the next call, do the next thing. And so you set aside your needs very often, and this becomes a pattern as well. So when you have time for recovery, when it's safe to do so during a shift or afterwards, it's important to stop overriding your nervous system, tune back into it, give it what it needs, and then allow yourself to be healthier overall. So here's a couple of the techniques that I'll give you. I took about 5 minutes explaining kind of the background here, and then I want to spend about another 5 just explaining some of the techniques. So your breath is something that you can voluntarily control. It's one of the few ins to our automatic system that our body will run for us even if we're not conscious. But when you are conscious and you take control of it, you are then able to calm your system. Your heart rate, your blood pressure can go down. You can release some tension by using your breath. And so this is a recovery technique. Almost everybody knows tactical breathing. This is when you inhale to the count of 4, you pause for 4, you exhale to the count of 4, and then pause for 4. So you can imagine this is also called box breathing. You can imagine sides of a box, inhaling up the side of the box to 4, pausing to 4, exhaling down the other side of the box, the count of 4, and then pausing for 4. And so if you just run through that in your mind a few times and allow your breath to become very regular and smooth with this kind of cadence, it's going to calm your whole system. Even more calming to your system is this next idea. It's a double inhale, exhale. And so you're going to take a deep breath in, you pause at the top and take another little sip of air, and then a full exhale. It doesn't have to be an open mouth exhale, but if it is, you may feel even more of a release of tension and of kind of a down regulation of your nervous system. This is one, both of these are research-based, science-backed. There's good evidence that they work. Dr. Andrew Huberman talks about this double inhale exhale breathing as one of the quickest and most efficient ways to just down regulate your nervous system. So give these a try. I always say try them when you aren't under a huge amount of stress. Practice them even just for 30 seconds or a minute a few times during the day. And then when you need them, because you are under a lot of intensity and would like to calm your system a bit, they're much easier to use if you've already been practicing them. The last 2 here are a body scan and one that has to do with your vision, which I'll explain. So the body scan, this involves taking a comfortable seated position or maybe lying down so that you're fully relaxed. You can choose to close your eyes if you'd like, but you don't have to. You can even do this with your eyes closed while sitting or doing anything really, driving, if you're just needing to release some tension from your muscles. We hold a lot of our stress in our body as muscle tension. So this is meant to combat that. Bring your awareness to your body, starting with the top of your head. So you might feel a sensation of tension or holding in any part that you scan over during this technique. And if you do find tension or holding, you can imagine that tension just releasing to the extent that you're able. You can travel down from the top of your head to the muscles of your face, your jaw, your neck. You can scan over your chest. We hold a lot of stress in these areas, your shoulders, upper back, and even just in your mind's eye, you imagine those areas relaxing and softening, kind of like butter in the sun. You may notice a little bit of stress kind of melting away. You can imagine your whole chest cavity, which includes all kinds of muscles and tendons and tissues, and imagine it softening a bit. Make sure your shoulder blades are relaxed down your back. You may find yourself taking some deep breaths. I would emphasize those. And if at any point your mind wanders away from this body scan, just notice the thoughts that came to mind and then return your imagery to your body. You can continue down your body this way, through your stomach, your pelvis, your hips, your hamstrings, your glutes, your shins and your calves, your ankles, your feet. And then your arms as well, all the way down to your fingers and the palms of your hands. You can find specific guided body scans on YouTube. You could find one with a voice and a cadence and a length that fits just right for you. These are super helpful for you to have on hand to practice really every day, even as a preventative measure. If you're doing pretty well, it's only going to help you to do these. The last one I want to tell you about is panoramic vision. So you all know when you're under stress, our brains will cause us to have tunnel vision. So the opposite of tunnel vision is panoramic vision. This is one of the other very few ways that we have to get into that automatic system of our body. So if you choose to, while you're comfortably seated, or anything you're doing really, but begin maybe by practicing when you're just calm and comfortable anyway, but take a look at a spot in front of you, anywhere that's comfortable, really no specifics on that, but see if you can open up your vision to include your periphery. So we have peripheral vision. It's kind of the edges of our sight out here, which you can still see as sort of part of the landscape in front of us, instead of just needing to zero in and focus on a certain point. When you actually take the musculature and ask it to behave in that way, you're also going to cue your system to relax, just like the breath work can do. So the panoramic vision strategy is something you can use even when you're talking. I just practice it now while I'm talking to you. Can't so much do the breath techniques, of course, when you're having to speak, but those are something you can do, of course, when you're able to be quiet and to control your breath in those very specific ways. So I hope this is all helpful to you. I talk a lot about mindset with all of you when I get to work with you individually or in the trainings. And what we're talking about here is control. What are you able to control? Those things are your thoughts, your attitude, your effort, and your action. And part of the action you can take and put effort towards is making these deposits into your system of bits of recovery to balance out that intensity that's so built into your work. So make deposits to your self-care, be efficient about it, make it a pattern and a habit so that you always have it to fall back on when you need it, and reach out if you ever need anything. Thank you for all that you do.